And a hearty good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Stepladder Finals of the final event of the World Series of Bowling 2 on the PBA50 Tour, the PBA50 World Championships. Along with Tom Carter, I'm Dave Lamont. We also have Brian Kane, Craig Elliott, and Chase Kaufman all here. It's a major, man. We're not messing around here. Well, Tom, it's a combination, as we've had all this week, of people that we know by heart and people that we've never seen bowl on our cameras before.
We've had 5 brand new faces so far on the show this week. And tonight is no different. We got 2 new ones, starting with Brian Dennis from Georgia. He might be new as a new face on the show, but he's not new to bowlers because he's won the Winky Classic and he won the Bradley, which are major competition tournaments. But his first match is no pushover because he's got Chris Barnes, who won our very first tournament, the Ballard pattern, PBA and USBC Hall of Famer.
And is the defending champion in this particular event, and a very familiar face. The man has not missed a show. He's made as many shows as we've had, Tom, this week. Mika Koivuniemi.
Yeah, this is his 5th altogether, but he's made every show here. And he's got a great look. And last night I said it was 3rd time the charm. Maybe it's 4th time the charm for him. But he has to go. That winner of that has to meet Brad Angelo from Lockport, New York.
Yeah, Brad in his 5th show so far this year. He has not yet won. He has just the one title. At the very top is somebody we were wondering, when was this man going to make a show? Well, Mario Quintero has done it.
Well, we're getting our first look at international player. He got a gold at the international games, and he's our tournament leader. And I think he's going to be a huge force to be reckoned with because he doesn't miss.
He hasn't done much of it, and he does the unusual, being able to hook on a fresh pattern. Now, by the time he gets there, this pattern will obviously be quite so fresh, but it's the 43-foot Earl Anthony pattern. We're down to about 15 seconds till our first ball. Chris Barnes will decide who gets to throw that, so let's pull up and get ready to go. And this pattern has been a difficult one at times, and it has affected everybody, including Hall of Famers.
Difficult is not that's kind of almost an understatement.
That's babying it a little bit.
I think that's babying it. You know, this pattern to me.
How about cruel?
Okay, it just. I don't think this pattern. That's the first time we bowled on, at least that I know of. Mm-hmm. But this pattern seems to be more of a high rev pattern, and we have senior players on it. I think if you're a bunch of two-handers were on it, they could break this pattern open more. But, man, for some of the seniors, it was tough. And you look around, you can see a 230 to a 250 game, but right next to it might be 160 to 170.
Yeah, there were some frightening games here. Listen, this isn't easy. We said that already. And we'll see how it plays. Look at, you talk about, see Chris Barnes right there. Chris had a difficult time today in the 6-game match play.
Well, yeah, he coming in at tournament leader, and he's been bowling great. But this morning, it was like a different Chris Barnes. He just could not figure it out. It was just like spare, split, strike, split, spare, split. I thought he was going to go right through the ceiling at one point today.
Well, that would have been a breakthrough for him because he didn't have one otherwise. But that should change today as he takes on Brian Dennis. Chris, the higher seed, of course, gets the lane choice. Now, Brian Dennis is doing all right in his first year on the PBA50 Tour from Creedmoor, North Carolina. He has made every cut that he's entered.
I know they're introducing him from North Carolina, but he told me he had moved. He's from Demarest, Georgia now.
No, okay. Well, then he's not in the North Carolina Mafia anymore.
But, and another fact, he hasn't won a PBA event, but he won a regional as a non-member, which you don't get credit as a PBA win unless you're a member in 2010. The interesting fact is he works for Dexter. So he was a bowling center manager for, I think, 30 years.
Well, what Brian has done so far this year is 12th at the Granville Financial Open, 17th at the USBC Senior Masters, and here 11th, 18th, and 14th in the Ballard, Monticelli, and Petraglia. So, good enough to qualify. 18th, just missing. He was this close to being a 4-for-4 guy, too. 18th in Monticelli when we took the top 16. So, we are ready to go. Chris Barnes wants the ball. And right away he groaned when he threw that.
There is, a huge out of bounds on this pattern. You get it past 6 down lane, maybe even 7, it just keeps hydroplaning to the right. And right now, granted they had 20 minutes of practice on this, and they've tried to break the shot down, but Chris might be just a little bit steep right off the bat.
I had a chance to talk to him during the break, and he said when he missed a little bit right like this, that's what he did. He bucketed or even washed out. And when he hit dead flush, he was 490, and he just couldn't find, the secret recipe there to strike consistently all day long.
I guess I would call it over-under, and that's pretty much what he had. It almost looked like this pattern was on a knoll, because if you missed right, it went that way. You missed left, it went this way. It's like downhill both ways. You had to keep the ball just in a tight tube the whole time.
This is an all right-handed show, by the way. No lefties made it. And Brian Dennis, same thing. He gets it out too far down lane. And this is what we're talking about. You could have seen a great match, 230, 240, maybe even 250. But then we've seen this happen a lot, and it was just split, washout, spare, strike, split, washout. Great shot. And both players with very challenging spares in the opening frame.
Yeah. 6 spare, one with a bucket, the other one with a washout. Neither one of them the easiest thing to pick up, but they picked it up on a difficult pattern.
So that means someone's going to miss a single pin this match after making 2 tough spares to start.
Oh, that was coldly
unnecessary. Isn't that how it happens, though?
Wow.
Well, we've seen that today a lot.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And that seems to be the shot right there. He crossed around 16, 17 and got it to 7, 8. And that seems to be the magic number on this pattern. And I think that you're going to see the rest of the guys try to play that shot. It's just you can't get too amped up and blow it right through the break point.
And one of the cool things we saw this week, you can see Brian Dennis talking to Mark Clark, and then they were, Dennis and Killo were back there when Mark was on the show, and then they were both there when Dennis was on the show. So 3 guys rooming together, supporting each other out here in their stepladder finals. All 3 of them made a stepladder this week.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. Yeah. They can all go back and pat themselves on the back. They came up here, and each one of them made. Well, Mark and Dennis made the show together. One was tournament leader.
Right.
And
so you know what that means. You want to room with them next year here, but also they need to raise the roommate fee as well.
Right.
Well, this is kind of what Chris Barnes' morning was like. A lot of spares being shot, and if it weren't for his skill as a spare shooter, I'm not sure he'd be even on the show. He didn't leave. I don't think he missed anything that we would consider makeable. And he also had several that were certainly, a higher degree of difficulty than the average spare shot.
Well, this last 6-game block, and he was struggling and fighting to stay on the show.
And when you do throw a good ball, you get that.
Solid 9. At least he got the 4 out.
Well, I want to remind him of that one later.
The big difference, I think, and Chris has the ability, but if you watch Brian Dennis, he projects the ball out on the lane a little bit farther, a little bit of loft. Chris is getting it down pretty quick. And when we get to Mika, you're going to see him, obviously, with loft. But then Mario, our tournament leader, also has quite a bit of loft. And I think that was a big part of this pattern, is getting the ball the way it read the front part of the lane.
Well, show you how tough it was today. So let's look. Here's Brian Dennis. So his scores today, I'll give them to you after. He goes for a double, which he doesn't get. So
he just cut
he
that
had
short.
a 162, lost 243. He beat Quintero, lost to Barnes today with a 189, beat Eddie Bird 235, and beat Brian Chamber 193. But Chamber had a 139. And when we got to the position round against John Janowicz, John didn't bowl a great game, but Brian won with a 196. I mean, Very few people today were putting up big numbers.
He won with a 196, but the most impressive number there, John Janowitz, which we've seen on the show weekly, is shot 164. How tough is this pattern when you got a guy that has been that hot, that good, shoot 164?
Yeah, that was not a good day for John. He was, I think if you looked at the standings when the morning started and you thought, oh, he'll get in. But no, he did not, and Brian Dennis beat him in the last game to keep him out of it. Well, again, you're seeing this pattern in a nutshell.
Well, it's still kind of fresh, and there's not enough oil that's carried down to kind of tame down that back-end reaction, because when the ball comes off the pattern right there, it's gone. And again, this is a pair that, they didn't use in match play. This is the TV pair. Totally different pair.
Well, Chris is used to bowling on it.
That's true.
So is Mika.
So is Mika.
Boy, is Mika used to bowling on it.
Yeah. Made all three patterns here, plus now the World Series. He made it at the Bud Moore.
Yeah, he's been on this tour before, so he's not eligible for Rookie of the Year, but if he was.
Thank God.
Yeah, well, he'd be Rookie of the Year. That looked like a good shot all the way, and was.
Right, 18, and he was right on top of 10 down there. He's shaking his head like, I finally got 10 of them down.
Well, Mika's season this year kind of reminds you of Simonson last year, right? All those top 10s with just, not enough wins to eclipse, EJ. And this, for this tour, JJ's the EJ with all the wins, and Mika's just makes shows. Just got to get the W at some point.
You got to get Bowler of the Year. You got to get a W in there somewhere.
Yeah, plus Mika has just recently made a full-time commitment for the end of the run of shows here too. And a double
just
for Chris.
Inside of fourth arrow, down to the break point. And when I looked at the graph on this, pulled it up on the PBA website, it just looked like if there was a shim to be had, it was around 8-9, 7-8-9 at best down lane. But that's given the bowlers 3 boards to hit.
Okay.
Well,
what's smaller than a gnat and a piece of and a grain of pepper?
Yes.
Whatever that is, apparently that's what we're looking at. And Brian Dennis comes through with a big strike he needed.
Brian Dennis got some unique footwork. It's just 2 slow steps and 3 steps that are flying, and they're not very long. They're just like, they're kind of, I don't want to call them choppy, but they're short. Not what you normally see when you see somebody like Barnes with that kind of a long, methodical stride with a little bit of a pause. It just looks like he shuffles those last 3 steps really quick. But it works for him.
It certainly is working for him right now. He gets a double.
Not quite Crutcher-like, but similarities there, right, Tom?
Yeah.
With that.
But Crutcher takes like
steps.
13 steps. Brian Crutcher's got one of the unique. He's just kind of like, his feet move. He doesn't move very far, but he just kind of keeps stepping until the timing feels right, then goes.
Nope, and the timing did not feel right there. We've seen Chris do this a few times, and again, but people talk, Tom, about how tightly he grips the ball, too.
His grip, the thumb hole and the finger holes are really tight. He has to pry his fingers out of it to get the ball off his hand.
It always looks painful to me when he does that.
I think his hand, and it did it several times a day, is cramping up. You'll see him pushing his fingers back. It's just like something just doesn't feel right.
Well, they bowled 100 games this week. Why would they cramp up?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, has he figured something out on a pattern that bedeviled him for 6 games today? But here is when it matters most, and he's put together 3 straight excellent shots.
Well, that's pretty much, we say it all the time. That's why they're Hall of Famers, because they figure something out. That it just, in the moment, when it comes to something like this is a major, the wheels get locked in.
Well, something else we talked about during the break, though, is I asked him how he thought this pair was going to play. He said, well, he's pretty sure that that Brad and Mario are going to be hooking a little bit, and he's just going to get left of everybody, no matter where that might be, and just try to find a clean part of the lane to get some consistency. And looks like he's finding a little something there.
And another 9-pin. That's the second one on that lane.
Interested spectators off to our immediate left, getting a good angle standing by our table. We are located as we watch, speaking of angles, but not a good one. You see the ball just completely nowhere near the 9-pin. But both Brad and Mika are just a couple of feet of our spot here, watching intently how the lanes are being played.
Should we tell them they could log into BowlTV and watch, from...
do they have subscriptions, first off, or are they like getting free TV here? I don't know.
Yeah, they could be putting it up on the monitor there.
But, yeah, I don't think I've seen this very often. We're not just the guy who's bowling next, which is Mika, but the guy who's bowling next is here also. And nobody's warming up.
That looked like he cut that short from the get-go. And
by cut it short, what does that mean?
Meaning he missed left inside of target. He just didn't extend through the shot.
Okay.
He just got it right there. He tried to force it there, but just never. You can be looking at a target when the shot is this tough, and I think it happens to a lot of guys sometimes. You're looking at a target, and obviously you want to commit to the.
Great.
What a beautiful shot that was.
He's had 2 hard shots. The first frame and this frame, he's converted for spares.
And you want to project the ball to the target you're looking at, but you know the shot is so tough you don't want to miss the head pin. So right at the bottom of the swing, you kind of help it a little bit, pull it inside a target, and then ends up going through the face, sometimes Brooklyn.
Nope.
Well, he got away with that. He got a little quick and fell off to the right, which is kind of uncharacteristic.
Mika's going to head down to get him probably a couple of warm-up throws. He is next up.
Let's face this one. Brad Angelo right in front of us. He thought the camera was facing the other way, like we were looking at the back of his head.
No. Well, we are, but
that's all we ever see is the back of his head. For the last 40 games.
I don't know what he looks like.
The slim, trim Brad Angelo now. Lost 35 pounds.
Ooh, Chris
Barnes.
About it.
Yeah.
It's kind of more like this is a little bit more of a higher scoring game than we have seen a lot of the times today.
I'm actually kind of surprised it's this high on the first match.
Does it tell you we might get higher scores as the day goes on or lower?
I think it'll get higher.
Okay.
Because as the day went on, and every day that we had this is 6 game blocks. We had 3 of them. And the last part of the day in games 5 and 6, that's when the scores were the highest. The lanes had kind of opened up. You've seen bigger scores towards the end. So I think this is going to – because everybody out there was throwing what we call out here big balls. They were throwing gems, big asymmetrical balls with a lot of surface. They're trying to tear apart the pattern so there's some friction, because everybody likes to see friction because that's what makes the ball hook. No friction, no hooky.
246 for Chris Barnes is his maximum. 237 is the best that Ryan Dennis can do. So
it's hard to believe that this pattern, only 43 feet, was this difficult, but it was not easy.
Brian cannot lock Barnes out. And
another one, he just never got it to the right.
This is another one that's above average in difficulty, even for a pro, and this is not one you want to be shooting in your foundation frame either.
Tom, does the fire oil make it even a little bit tougher to break it down? Isn't that a little bit thicker?
It's thicker, and it's, slower, obviously. This pattern never, it's kind of odd. It just never did open up. As great as the top 18 players are, I mean, there's some great names in there. Ryan Schaefer, John Jonowitz, Jason Couch, Tommy Hess, Parker Bone, Bo's in there, Eugene McCune. It's just, my Lord, you would think that the pattern would open up. It's 43 feet. We got 17 feet of screaming back in. They could just wheel on it. And that is not the case whatsoever. But if you go to the website and look at the amount of loads of oil that are in the front part of the lane. The front part of the lane is flooded.
Well, that explains why the couple of guys that get a little bit of loft on the ball maybe are 1-2 in the standings then, right? Not worried about that front being so oily.
I mean, when they talk about loads and they go 2 to 2, that's going from the 2 board on the left to 2 board on the right. It's one stream of oil. Well, you get 4 loads of 2 to 2s, then the next load was a 2 to 3, then it was a 3 to 4. I mean, they just kept adding more oil to the front.
You talked about scores. We did have 6 300 games in qualifying the other events, 2 in each round. High game on this pattern was 280, and that was by Brian Dennis yesterday.
That's right. Ryan finished in the 270s today when he had 8 straight. So Ryan Schaefer. So.
Yeah, Schaefer was making a run for it. He ended up in 6th. It looked like he was going to shoot 300 that last game. And
oh, no. One mistake by Brian. And it's giving Chris Barnes free hand here in the 10th, as long as he avoids disaster. 206 for Brian Dennis. And a mark, a strike definitely does it.
Any kind of good count, I believe. Just kind of wipes out the whole ball game right here, and that's what we call good count.
Well, are we ready for the old roommates to go at it one more time?
Somebody got wound up.
Somebody made some money betting on him. That's what I think it is. All right. Well, are you ready for Chris and Mika?
Well, that's
again,
but that's going to be a real good show right there.
I can't imagine it not being.
Yeah, they call him Major Mika for a reason. And what's up for grabs? $25,000.
Yeah. And a major.
And a major.
I don't have my wallet on me.
Chris Barnes with one more going to change balls and try something. Shoots 246. Brian Dennis with a great showing. I mean, that's Cinderella story.
It would have been, no question.
Yeah, 3 guys travel up here together, and all 3 of them make the show.
Well,
one of them was tournament leader, got a chance to win a title. They all obviously had chances to win a title. They were on the show.
You keep talking about Cinderella stories as Chris puts in a test ball and ends up with a very, very handsome 245. Seems like it should be 8 shots by now.
I believe it is. Toby making the announcement.
Crack the whip, Toby.
Second match, the Stepladder Finals for the World Series of Bowling 2 here at Jack 60. Gentlemen, lanes are ready for you.
Mika's Choice, which should be a name of one of the candles, by the way, Mika's Choice.
There you go. That's pretty awesome. I like that.
They're asking us who should go first? You. Looks like it'll be Chris.
So are you flexible enough to cup your wrists like that, Craig?
0 chance.
0 chance. That was a great first shot. No 6 count there.
Okay, apparently Chris has some fans in the building. I haven't seen them yet. I don't know who they are.
I think the guys in the front, they're laughing. They're almost embarrassed.
Well, you got Mika's way back there with Shar Anderson, and they're rooting for each of their players.
Oh,
there.
so if Mika throws a good shot here, we'll hear it from Mika? Is that what you're saying?
I think so.
It seems that this could be Mika's 500,000th shot this week.
Oh.
Counting practice and everything else. I'm amazed. It really is some tribute that he is still contending for a title with all the bowling he's had to do. Oof. Man,
how many 9 pins
unnecessary.
have we seen? My gosh.
That is unnecessary.
Mika's got that traditional timing when we only get to catch the first couple of steps. But you see by the 3rd step, his swing is right about 6 o'clock. It's kind of like the old perfect timing. No problem with a spare.
No, well, you get the ball halfway down the lane. You've eaten up most of the trip.
Eliminate the variables.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Get it out
well,
there.
as long as, he doesn't hurt himself. I don't know if anybody's seen that. It was on Facebook. Tommy Jones sticking the ball at the Lucy.
Yeah, the ball went up in the air a long ways.
Oh, it went clear to the ceiling. Oh, my. I hope he's okay because that looked like that hurt.
Mika's starting well left of where he has been standing the last few days on different patterns.
Yeah, he's around 32 with his feet, getting it down to 10 down lane. Crossing around 21, 22. Just your normal everyday pattern.
One more? No, a lot of wiggle, but nothing.
Got that a little bit right. He threw that 16.92. Mika's last shot, he only threw it 16.01. That was right on top of 10 down lane, but it just didn't see the back end of the lane.
Well, you see what that ball did. As soon as it hit the pocket, it just went right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Looked like it started rolling
like an
forward.
8-pounder. Yeah, it just
went right.
deflected.
Dave Lamont, Tom Carter, Craig Elliott on the microphones, Brian Kane, Chase Kaufman, our techs. Your BowlTV crew here for the last few games of the PBA50 second and World Series of Bowling.
And then you guys are off to Jonesboro, Arkansas.
Yes, sir, for a brand new event that we've been excited about ever since it was announced.
How fast did he throw that? At least on the monitor, it looked like he flamed it. It's only 16.48.
16.5, yeah, if you round it up, it looked.
Tom, do you know what ball Mika's throwing? Did you get a good look at that?
Reality check. That's where I'm going to go with that. And that was not any of the balls he was warming up with.
No.
That was down there.
Oh, no, goalposts.
7-10.
Well, he made it yesterday. Could he do it again?
He did.
He did.
Yeah, he had to pick the 7, and it kind of greased its way over to take out the 10 pin. Or the other way around, wasn't it?
Yeah, 10 and the 7.
10 and the 7. Yep.
That ball was only like 11, 12. And same thing. It hit the pocket and just deflected to the right. You know he's going for this, right?
Absolutely.
I almost think he has to. Nope, didn't make it over this time.
Got to rethink strategies now.
Well, at some point, Mika's got to be thinking, what do I got to do to win a match here in one of these step ladders and get a win? I mean,
well, yeah, because unfortunately, this pair, he's got two-thirds and a fourth, I think.
He's got the most games on this pair this week, and
he just doesn't seem to figure it out. His carry percentage, rather, on this pair is not good. It's not like he doesn't hit the pocket. And
another 9-pin. So we said 2 9s and a 7-10.
He juiced that a little bit more.
And 1 strike.
A little more air time on that. But that didn't seem to work either. So his strategy right now isn't paying off. Biggest thing, maybe another ball change.
Well, or just don't let the ball touch the lane at all. Say the heck with it.
Yeah, just go right at it. We'll have a new two-handed overhand, a new style of bowling to make people angry.
Oh. There was a few Flemish words on the way back there.
Yes.
Not a happy boy at this point.
Yeah, I don't know. I know his daughters are watching. If they can translate for us, maybe they don't want to translate.
Yeah, I don't think.
On the other hand, never mind, ladies.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Don't type it in the chat. Never mind. Now, Chris seems to have things. This is not the same guy we saw this morning. Have this? There's a sign there that says "Let's go, Tom Carter." No, Chris Barnes.
Yeah, I don't
Let's
think
go,
that.
Chris Barnes. Wow, he has his own sign. If he wins this, they need to bring that sign down there so we can hold it during the interview. He'll enjoy
I'm
that.
sure they will.
No, he'll have to hold it during the interview.
Well, they might storm the approach. You might.
That's true. Maybe they'll do the water celebration. I don't think the lane master is going to like that too terribly much.
No.
But and getting mixing now too.
Yeah, he's getting lined in.
The 59% that picked him were feeling pretty good about themselves, almost as good as the ladies who are making all the noise.
Just an observation, but I always think guys bowl better when they're smiling and seem like they're having fun. You know, and Chris come back and got a big smile on his face, maybe because the girls are yelling, but I think that'll loosen him up. When you're out there and you're getting madder by the second, I don't think that does you any good.
No. Don't know if these two have one of their infamous side bets on it. I think they saved those for finals. I don't know if they have a side bet here. Maybe they do, but had they gotten to the finals in Virginia, there was going to be a jersey bet, that's for sure. Mika was already there, but
Mika not looking very excited right now.
well, he's not a guy who's going to be, chest thumping. And if he hits a homer, Mika's not throwing the bat. He's just going to put the bat down around the bases.
Well, Norm Duke said something about bowling on TV. He never showed any emotion when he was on the right lane because he had to bowl on the left lane. Mm-hmm. He didn't want to get over pumped up.
Okay.
But after he bowled on the left lane, then he'd show something.
I never noticed a difference. Now he's retired. We'll never figure that hack will never be known, never be seen again.
Trips out the 4.
Well, he was due for something good to happen.
Yeah. Well, he stood up on that like, I don't think that's good, but he got the break of it. Well, maybe we might have a Norm Duke sighting one of these days. He might decide to come back out just for the heck of it.
I don't
one
think
tournament.
So. I think I've got a better chance of bowling in a tournament than he does right now. I think he's good with things, my understanding. Saw him in Arizona at the NASCAR event that put on by Fox. He was out there for the Legends and bowled a little bit.
And just because he took time off, I don't think he's forgotten.
Oh, no, he didn't. I'll tell you something after this, Sean. The guy who really needs to come out of retirement.
Oh, got that wide. Who?
Mike Albee.
Mike Albee.
Jeez. It was like 1989 or 99 all over again watching him. Oh, my Lord.
Classic style of Mike Albee.
Guy couldn't miss.
Well, when you say that, I just got to say there's the reason why they're Hall of Famers.
I mean,
he just followed up with that statement. He was always fun to watch.
It was really something to see. I had never seen him bowl in person. And, of course, this is just a fun event. There's no title. There's no pressure. Everyone's just having a good time. But, yeah, he was impressive. He really makes it look easy.
Whoa. There's a little screen back there. I think she thought he missed.
Yeah. It would have been a second screen had he missed his. He's throwing, according to an inside source, it's a DNA coil on the right lane for Chris.
And throwing the Excel on the left lane.
Yeah.
He didn't like that at all.
He had no reason to like it.
Yeah. That was left at the arrows and left at the break point. Winner of this match goes on to meet Brad Angelo. Gentleman we haven't seen for, what, 2 weeks? 3 weeks?
Almost a month.
Almost a month on TV?
Actually, it has been a month. The Senior U.S. Open was the last time he made a show. I guess it's not too early to mention that Mika can strike out for 248. And Chris for, say it, 247. Well, let's see that happen. Not again.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay, not again.
Almost.
Not again, indeed. Wow.
I think I got the translation that time for Mika. What he was saying? You want to know? Yay bowling. Boy, that head pin helped him out by not having another 7-10. Doesn't make him any happier.
I understood that translation. That does not need a translation.
Were there words for that?
Not out loud there weren't. No. No need. Contemptuously spinning away from that.
There can be nobody more frustrated than that gentleman right now in this building.
Yeah.
After making the fourth show and looking like that he has not a whole lot of a thing going his way.
He's going to need a Chris Barnes mistake to get out of this match.
I'm waiting to see one of those shots go down to the pins on the fly.
Perfect. No 9-pin, no 7-pin, no 10-pin, no combination of any of them. Just 10 away.
227 max for Mika. 247 for Chris Barnes. Mika is looking for a little help.
And the frustration level, Tom, for Mika is he's just so close. Right? It's not like he's not hitting the pocket, but it's just maybe just a slight hand adjustment. Just minor, and you'd be striking.
And there's so many variables that probably could happen. Obviously, you got speed, you got loft, you got a hand adjustment. But something's got to happen to make it go his way. They're not allowed to change surfaces, but he could change balls. We've seen that a lot during qualifying where within the pair, left lane to right lane, reacted totally different, and a lot of guys threw different balls on each lane. It just one ball wasn't making it.
Big double here. Nah, the shoulders say it all. Look out, one more.
That was left again last time on. He hit like almost 25 and never projected it. I don't think he's looking at 25.
Now it brings that pair of 227s back into play.
Oh, no chance of missing this. He's on top of this.
Or to the side of it. But yes, he made it. That's what. But that was really Mika's maybe his best chance to get back in. If Chris had blown a gasket, which percentages are very much in his favor of making it. So
we have the possibility.
Go ahead. Craig likes to say this. Why don't you do it this time?
Oh, the possibility of a tie. 227 apiece here if all players strike out.
Yeah, it's one of Craig's favorite scenarios. Not the tie itself, just the possibility of the tie.
Just the possibility.
Well, I think the ties are pretty cool too, though.
Well,
Mika was in one already in the Stepladder this week.
Yeah, just
He'd love to be in another.
Only if he wins it this time.
Exactly. Took the words right out of my mouth.
Hates it.
That's the second time I've seen him
I would
do
hate
that.
it that bad too. I mean, if I threw every shot and hated it that bad, I'd be tickled to death.
That is the second time I've seen in this event in the last 2 days where he has thrown a ball, never looked at the result, and it struck.
Yeah, I think he thought it was too far right, and it wasn't going to strike. And lo and behold,
that's even more frustrating, isn't it, Tom? Now I throw it good and I can't get anything. I throw one horrible and it goes dead flush.
Yeah.
Now what?
We keep throwing it badly.
But here's the good side: he doesn't have to bowl on that lane anymore, because if he thought that was bad, the big thing is, can he strike out on the left lane? He struck every shot but once on that left lane.
That one he watched.
All right. We're making a show of this. This shot obviously is key right here. Made Chris double.
2 more strikes. He'll make Chris strike out just for a tie. But get this one first.
What's that? The only shot that matters is the one you're in now.
Mm-hmm.
Did he like it?
Nope. I think he did like it.
Yeah, I think he thought he would.
And then it did not get the reaction he was looking for. So
215, the best he can do.
Chris still going to have to put one up on the board, though.
Yeah.
It's like this one. Watch it. Did it bounce a little bit? Yeah.
Yes,
it
did.
A little bounce when at the lane. It kind of killed the roll, and it doesn't get there.
And it never turned over
No.
on the back end. He thought it was going to make that move, and it didn't. Count is important. He's got to get the spare.
Remember, this is a lane that he fought a couple different times this week in matches of overhooking, and that one wasn't going to overhook. He made sure of that.
Got it.
Oh.
But there was some danger chop there.
I thought he was just going to get one.
Absolute chop danger there.
He is very upset at himself. He can't be upset at anything else. I mean, you're the one that threw the ball. But unfortunately, not the reaction Mika's looking for.
Well, count's important on this shot as well here. I mean, 9 spare 9 is another chance of a 215 tie. So 9 on this shot. Chris will have a chance to win it on the fill. So
8 is a tie
spare.
if he strikes. He posted that and staring it down.
And every reason to. Maybe his best shot of the 2 matches he's been in so far. He defeated Brian Dennis in the first match. And is on the verge of beating Mika, but it is not over yet.
I think those pins were going down just because of the glare.
9 to win.
No.
But
That's enough.
That's
That's
just
9, and it is a 9.
enough. And Chris Barnes will now take on Brad Angelo in the next match as Chris has taken 2 steps up the ladder for defending the PBA 50 World Championship title.
Brad Angelo making 5 shows so far this year. Seems like in the last couple years he's made, I think you said earlier, like 199 shows.
It seems like it sure does.
And he's only got 1 title. And
that was 2022,
That was,
I remember.
it just amazes me.
So we have to give something away, don't we?
Oh, now you do. It's 217-215. Chris Barnes over Mika. Koivuniemi.
56 of the percentages are dropping. 56 now picking Chris to win the match.
Uh-oh.
So 2% turned on him.
Well, that's Buffalo tuning in now, taking Brad.
Yeah, upstate New York has checked in. Brad has lane choice. He wants Chris to finish on the left lane. Or he wants himself to finish on the right lane. Either way, that's what's going to happen.
So he was playing up the track in practice. Do you really think he's going to stay there?
Kind of looks that way, doesn't it? Where he's standing.
Yeah.
That's an approach I haven't seen very often.
No, not at all.
In the last 2 days.
No.
Quitter 10 there.
I thought he was just trying to break the lanes down out there, and he's going to stay there. There's only 2 other players I know that stand that close, and that's Brian Kretzer and Dale Traber, and drift a little bit left.
Well, Dale never got that far left.
Ted Hannes could be one, too. Ted would take off walking dead left. I've always been amazed by guys that drift that far left. Just what they're looking at, how they're targeting.
Yeah, Smallwood, another guy that does that. 15-board drift. Yeah, Chris is not playing up the boards.
No, he'll be brushing up against that ball return pretty soon.
About 18 at the arrows.
Oh, look at that. How does that happen? It slides in between the 4 and the 9.
He got that out just a little bit past the marker down lane, and it just come flying. That was actually right over, looked like 20 to 12. But you never know what the guys are trying to do when they come in for practice. Are they trying to make the shot better for themselves, or are they just trying to mess up the shot for the guy that seems to have the advantage?
Hup. Well done. And this match is even after 1.
Well, one thing that we've talked about all week in Brad's matches that have been high scoring, and a lot of that's because Brad always breaks them down correctly, right?
Yeah.
Makes them good for himself, but also for his opponent. He's taken a completely different approach than what the other couple players have done here tonight. And we'll have to see how that pays off for him.
25, 35, 45. He's like on 43 with his left foot. Sliding on 39.
And striking on 53.
He can't get that deep on the right lane. I don't believe he'd have to almost get in front of the ball return. But Chris has the ability to kind of fade left and get in front of the ball return.
Yeah, he's not afraid to get in, to get left and tuck up by that end of the ball return there.
So Brad is 15, 10, 5. He's standing on 0. He's standing in the gutter.
And he has his first strike.
So this is quite the interesting change of events as far as tactics on the lane.
Well, you got a lot of strategy, a lot of brain power here.
Well, Chris said he was going to be left to Brad, and he definitely is.
He's a lane left.
Yeah.
But then again, in this last 6 games, I watched a couple of guys, Mark Clark being one of them. He went to urethane way outside, and he seemed to have somewhat of a look if he could keep it slow enough for the ball to read the lane. Brad looks like playing up 5 is the way to go right now.
Different strategy than what we've seen on this Earl Anthony 43-foot pattern for sure.
I don't think in all of the qualifying and definitely in the 18 games we've seen anybody.
No, I don't remember.
Other than,
out there.
like I said, Mark Clark this last 6 because he had hurt his arm, and he said, I want to stay out of everybody's way, so he grabbed urethane and went to the right. Because I learned something since we didn't have a player in line to come in, an alternate.
Right.
If Mark withdrew, that Mark would have to beat the qualifying average of this pattern, which was 219.
How would he beat it if he withdrew? I
You mean his opponent?
That's what he'd have to be. His opponent would have to beat 219 if Mark withdrew.
So they don't just get a walkover.
No, they don't get a free one. They had to beat the qualifying average, and 219 would have been hard to beat.
Well, we
They
didn't
could have made the
qualify.
show
We
without
never
showing
qualified on the Anthony pattern. It was interesting. Interesting scenario there.
Because Mark went and asked about it. He goes, what happens? And when nobody was alternate. He said, well, if you DQ, then Mark would have to have been. They showed me the paper.
Eddie Bird was the other guy we were wondering
Yeah,
if he was going to
Eddie
make
had
it
a-
right.
had
He
some-
said his hand is really, really sore.
Well, Mark's bicep, he said it felt like his bicep muscle just slid down his arm.
Then I've had that happen, and it won't go back. At least mine didn't.
So Mark was throwing it really kind of gingerly up the outside just to try to stay out of everybody's way.
Yeah, if he didn't tear anything, I think he would have known it. Then it's just you just kind of live with it.
Well, he went 9-9 on a bum arm in match play, so it wasn't
He-
so bad.
No, I
You know?
didn't realize he had done that. That's really a lot of skill to still be able to bowl competently.
We got a tie match. Spare a 3-bagger, spare a 3-bagger.
It's a high quality tie match as well. You think that the spare for Chris Barnes though was a 4-9.
So Brad is using the same ball on both lanes. He's got a little bit of a hesitation step, but not near as defined as John Janowitz.
I think everybody expected that 10-pin to.
Yeah, I thought
Get
that was going to
bumped.
go down. It looked like a good shot. But these plastic, kind of like twister pins, they fly all over. But then again, some good shots look like they're hard to knock down. That was the 5-pin that was standing there, wasn't it? That's hard to believe. A 5-pin was standing there at that angle. Uh-oh. He has moved in front of the ball return.
I thought.
He's actually standing on that platform on the inside.
Wow.
So Chris has the ability to shorten his approach because that's literally a couple feet shorter than where he was standing.
Yeah, that's really interesting because so many people are so married to everything has to be exactly the same. And in this sport, sometimes the pattern forces you to put your feet in places you don't. I mean, Jason Couch was doing it on his side. We had people last night who were brushing up against it with their legs. The ball returned from the right side, and to be able to do that and still throw a quality shot, that's just hours of practice.
Well, one thing, Tom, that's nice is these are a little bit shorter ball returns as well.
They are, and we'll see he's using his normal approach on the left lane and a shorter approach on the right lane, and got to reproduce the timing. And it'd be an ideal situation if the ball returns weren't even on the approach. Oh, that was almost 7-10. Then you could stand wherever you wanted to. We had a USBC's one year that way. They had in one of the civic centers that we bowled in.
Yeah, I think Baton Rouge.
They had moved. Is that what it was? You think it's Baton
so.
Rouge?
I think it might have been. Yeah, they weren't even on the approach at all.
No, you.
That was weird though.
It looked weird, didn't it?
And it
felt weird.
Yeah.
You're so used to being next to a ball return. But I think over in Japan they've got a couple centers that way too. I've told. I don't know for a fact. But ideally that'd be a great situation. Then ball returns never come into play. I'm really surprised they didn't come back with a rule though that where the cappings, the imaginary line comes back, you can't get any farther than that, so you have to stay in your own lane.
That's always good advice for most people anyway. Stay in your own lane.
Especially when you drive a big motorhome down the highway.
It's true. Because I tend to take up 2 lanes sometimes anyway.
Nope.
Now you would think from the outside angle, with a big ball like that, that ball would come off of 43 feet and just peel to the left. And it looks about as lazy, unfortunately, as it can get. It's just kind of
right over 5.
And it got down there at the end of the pattern, and it just kind of like, yeah, I don't want to do this. It might be beneficial if he went to a ball that didn't have quite as much surface on it. You can tell even when the ball hits the pins, it's kind of like a soft hit. Barnes can still shoot 269 to 258. Still anybody's game.
No mistakes from either player. Chris, in his 3rd match today, defeated Brian Dennis and then Mika Koivuniemi. And a gorgeous shot. Brad is stuck to this game plan.
Yeah, and that wasn't in down 5. That was more like 7. It's kind of like more Adam instead of down and waiting for it to hook. Chris taking a re-rack, I believe.
I think the other thing to think about is the Brad's strategy here. He's trying to beat Chris obviously, but when we get to Mario is going to be kind of stuck in between where both players are, right?
Yeah,
Brad's staying right, Chris staying left. And Brad's going to have options, and if he gets by here, he can go left as well. So interesting how he's breaking down on the outside.
You're breaking down just assuming you're going to win. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think it's a little both, right? Too, for he's going to get a double benefit. He's trying to win the game, obviously, doing something different. He's in a clean part of the lane, right? He's not messing around with where Chris and Mika were. He's like,
and nobody even broke him down out there when they were warming up.
No.
Nobody was that far right.
No, not at all.
No.
So, but if you watch the couple times where Chris kind of flips it off his hand, that's when the ball just doesn't finish. He didn't really cut that one short like we saw a couple shots from Brian Dennis, but it was just a little bit different release.
I can't imagine that where Brad Angelo is playing is making any difference to Chris's shot. I wouldn't think.
But I think maybe for Mario, because you kept saying Mario hit 7, hit 7, hit 7.
Right. That kind of changes things a little bit. Chris' best finish now is 257. Brad at 258.
Gee, if Chris strikes out Craig and Brad gets 2 and 9 in the 10th.
We have the possibility of a...
No, we don't have the possibility. We have it. .25. That was way right down lane.
That, like you said, that shot off of his hand just looked kind of like he wasn't into it. It was a softer release, unless he's trying to be softer at the bottom of the swing.
Well, and that's what he's been fighting all day, right? If you throw it good, you 9 pins or 4 nines, you get a little soft, it comes up late. It's just he's kind of stuck in between again. And in a battle, not a good place for him to be right now.
I'd like to know what. Obviously, Brad either seen the lane different or he just said, I'm going to do something totally different than everybody else. What made him think that this was going to work?
Well, if he wins the tournament, we'll ask him. Chris at 246 now, maximum score.
He's working that thumb in there. Holy cow.
Look at those eyes.
See?
Well, his strategy is paying off.
Messenger takes out the 10. He looks like a hit man from the mob. He looks so almost mean when he's going to the pins.
Well, think of all the pain they've caused him. It's his time to return the favor.
Brad Angelo doesn't slide. He plants. And that's just amazing to me that you don't blow out a knee doing that, but it works for him. Obviously, sticky approaches don't come into play. I think he peered that one off his hand.
Another one, and Brad in the driver's seat right now.
Big time.
Chris Barnes now his max score 246.
Yeah,
258 for Brad.
From what we can see, Chris is going to need every inch of that 246.
I'd be safe to say he better throw the next 3.
Moving back a little bit more to the right. Looks like maybe with his feet. Not quite tucked up in there as much.
He struck from this position.
Yeah,
He went to the XL on the right lane. That ball just
follow through way to the right of his head.
Yes. Just labored massively. That was not good for Chris because now the best he can shoot is 235. That ball hit the 3-pin and decided to go dead right. I think that kind of happens when you're trying to stay up the back of it so much and keep it on line. You have not a whole lot of axis rotation to it to make it turn the corner. It just basically stopped.
4 straight spares for Barnes after a 3-bagger. Max score now down to 235. Chris this year, 3rd, 6th, 9th, 7th, 5th, 15th in Morgantown, 3rd at Budmore, won the Ballard here, 9th in the Monticelli, 37th in the Petraglia. And here could be his 4th third place of the year.
Well, he's got to strike out because just 9 out for Brad is 225.
Not there. Good ball.
So best he can do is 224. And again, Brad gets 9. 225. Brad basically almost winning sitting on the bench. But either way, the strategy that Brad Angelo came out with in this match was quite unique. And he just, out of the clear blue, normally we always see players playing in the same zone and they just kind of keep chasing it. And Brad goes, no, I'm just not going to play over there with you guys. I don't like your playground. I'm going to start my own.
Fresh sand in the sandbox. He found it, at least for this game now, against Mario Quintero. We'll see who gains control.
That ball turned the corner hard.
Yeah, 223 for Chris.
So that just goes to show you, I think you try to get around that a little bit. If you get around it too much, it's 4-4-9.
And that's what he fought all day, yeah. I mean, I'm going lighter. I leave a 9-pin or 4-9.
So you try to be soft with it and just stay off the back of it so don't turn the corner as hard, and you never get it to turn the corner.
Re-rack here for Brad. As Quintero, you might be able to hear in the distance, warming up for his first BowlTV appearance. Don't know how many times he's ever bowled in any kind of a television situation in his international career. Probably he's had some cameras on him before. But he'll be bowling for a PBA50 major championship.
Well, if he's got any of the camera savvy of his brother Arturo, then we're in for a pretty good show. Arturo is not shy.
Still has not died. No, Mario has not shown any emotion on the lanes. Whereas Arturo is very much the fist pump, punch the air kind of guy, but we're not seeing it out of Mario at all.
Yeah, and he doesn't have green hair.
But that's, but Mario's the older brother, so that's why, I think. It's the younger brother who's always the rowdy one.
So now we're going to see what Brad's strategy. He gets two practice shots here in this lane. Let's see if he makes a jump in just to see what's there, or just stay out there. Tom, if you're ball repping Brad, what's your conversation? I mean, you tell him to try take a look inside?
I would tell him, I would throw one inside just to see, or either that or throw a different ball outside to see if you're going to need a little more back end motion, because he's carrying fresh oil down the lane. Even though that reactive doesn't carry it down the lane like urethane, there's still some oil going down the lane.
Oh, and he's been peppering 5, so he's wearing that spot out, right? So maybe a different ball just to see how it comes off the spot different.
He's grabbing a different ball.
Go.
Yeah, might as well.
Old Faithful.
Is that the actual name of it? The Old Faithful?
His proton physics. He's only got about 6 of them he takes from stop to stop.
Yeah, but that's still an asymmetrical big ball.
Yeah.
Maybe not as much surface as that Jim's got. It's probably got a little lane shine to it, so it could be a little bit sharper on the back end, store a little more energy.
It almost looked like that faced up just a touch sooner.
Yeah, it did.
Leaves a 9.
Getting a little help from countryman Francisco Peralta.
Yeah, I don't know if this is bad luck or not. Mario bowled the whole tournament with his shirt untucked.
Well, that is the style these days, untucked golf shirts. It's a style.
He's not going to take all his practice shots either. He's good to go.
Oh, he's my new favorite player in the history of bowling. That's my kind of guy.
So I don't know if that's bad luck or not.
It's not to me. It isn't.
Well, the couple times we've seen it over the
having
years,
the shirt tucked in.
It hasn't worked out well, right? They're not all your practice shots.
Yeah, the other day it didn't work out well for Jason.
Yeah.
He only took 4 of the 10 that he was allotted.
Very, very good foul line judge. So thank you, Jason. If we can give him a round of applause, I'd appreciate it. Yes. Of course, I like to remember. All right, gentlemen.
Oh, Donnie Hogue, a little piece of information there. How about that? Mario shot 300 in the last game to win the International Bowling Federation tournament.
We're getting all the scoop. Thank you to all
kinds of scoops now.
Yeah, thanks to our many spies out there in BowlTV land.
That's awesome.
All right, let's see what we got. Brad Angelo, first title since 2022, if he can take it here.
He is committed to the game plan.
It's working. He's not overthinking it.
Our first look at Mario in BowlTV Top 5 competition. He's kind of playing on where Chris Barnes was at, and not quite as deep as Mika, and actually not quite as deep as Chris was on that right lane either. So,
and a quiet 10 there for Mario.
So here's the thing about Mario that I think made him leader of this tournament. On the fresh, where the guy struggled, and I think that's where he gained the most ground, was his loft on the lane and the ability to stay behind it.
Well, we never saw him throw a lot of errant shots. He was hitting the pocket. His pocket percentage is up there. You know, where other players we saw buckets and washouts, Mario did pretty good at just keeping everything right in front of him and hitting the 1-3.
Yeah, he bounced that pin right up the gutter.
Getting help mentioned from Paco Peralta, who we saw a little bit of this week.
Another cameo appearance from Josh Selman here, taking care of the Deadwood.
Beautifully done.
Yep.
Yeah, I was waiting. The man
Yeah,
deserves
a round of applause. There you go.
He's in charge around here, unless Dave Small is here.
I think Mario's still throwing the Excel, the ball he used pretty much all day.
And excelled with it.
Yeah. Like 25-10. That ball went at least a foot and a half past the dots on his loft, which is 8 feet out on the lane.
Pretty consistent with it.
Yeah, and that loft, that's a long ways for a lot of players, unless you're trying to do it. He does it naturally.
Oh man.
That was a little on the high
something.
side. But it looked, high, let's call that high flush. Ball never deflected.
No, let's watch it go right past the 9. It's not going to be pretty.
Just burning up that spot.
Yeah, that ball never stopped driving. So he's playing like 7-8 right at the arrows down the lane. When you call about down and in, that's kind of what Brad's doing right now. Well, I'd venture to bet that no matter what happens, Brad isn't going to make a giant jump left no matter what.
Yeah. Others have been there and done that, or are doing it. But a definite surprise strategy for Brad. Paid off in a win over Chris Barnes when he bowled a 257 against Chris's 223. So no need for Brad to, as I said, overthink this.
I think he maybe moved in just a little bit on lane, right? Maybe a 1-on-1 move left.
It might have been, but that ball almost looked like he gave it away a little bit right there in the mid lane. So shot changing, could be. Execution changing. So that looked more like 8-9, but he gave it room right. $25,000 up for grabs.
Oh, that's right.
Major championship on the PBA50 Tour to conclude the PBA50 World Series of Bowling. The second one here at Jack 60 in Jackson, Michigan on BowlTV. You've seen everything, every championship. We'll be in Jonesboro Wednesday.
Yeah, Chris Barnes wins the Ballard. Tommy Hess wins Monticelli. And John Janowitz wins the Petraglia. No repeat winners this year.
No, and we will not have. No, yeah, exactly. No defending champions won. Only one defending champion actually made the show. He won the year before. That was Chris today. And on a different pattern. Give him that credit too. Last year was the Weber 45. This year was the Anthony 43, and Chris was still able to get through. But right now, Mario Quintero has the advantage over Brad Angelo through the first third of the match. That one washed out. I didn't think they got to an out of bounds spot, Tom.
That's an out of bounds.
Yeah, it's not something we've seen him do much of this week either.
25 to. See, that looked like what Chris Barnes' ball did. It just got to that spot. It was like 9 down lane and just stopped, went forward.
I'm shocked everyone into silence here. We just did not see that.
I don't think I've seen him miss the hit pin this
It's been pretty rare.
whole time.
Yeah, that's going to take a bite out of your count and your score overall. A blow against Quintero. See what Brad Angelo does with some fresh meat.
Okay, this is where you can't get excited. You're like, okay, I got this match in hand.
Well, I'm sure he's not thinking that. 66% of our audience picked Brad. I would say out of the 66%, some of these folks didn't watch much Mario Quintero. But Brad now is sitting in a much better position. The old catbird seat, Tom, than he was about 4 minutes ago.
Well, obviously he's looking for his second title.
First PBA 50 major.
And a major. And $25,000. He's got to keep emotions under check right here.
Well, he sure as heck did with that shot.
Brad's usually pretty methodical. He's going to take his time. He's one of the coaches at Bowl U. He understands lanes. He understands lane breakdown, and he understands the mental game. Unbelievable.
Yeah, he's got a thing where he'll. What is it, Craig? He takes a piece of paper and draws the pins from the perspective. The lane from the perspective of the pins.
Right.
And he draws it upside down
as
you're sitting across the table from him. It's pretty fascinating.
Nope.
Oh.
Maybe a millimeter high?
Just a smidge high. Brad probably understands angle entry from doing all that coaching better than most because he's got a unique philosophy with all those lines that he draws and stuff, how the ball actually gets through the pins.
Oh, with a couple of shots here now, a 4-pin and a 9-pin. I'd be surprised if that gem makes it all the way through this game.
That other ball went down that other ball went down the lane just a little cleaner. But I think it was more on the back end. It looked like it was.
Yeah, come off the spot a touch harder. But he can jump in a little bit, right? He can cheat in a little bit with that.
He can move and I think it's really touchy out there where he's at. But Yeah, sounded like Walter Ray. He could move a half board, a board, quarter board, just a touch.
2.5 nats.
Yeah, that's it. 2.5 nats to the left.
But the left lane has also been the one in our Stepladder that's always had just a little more late hook.
It's a little more like it for Mario, recovering nicely after the disaster on the left lane. Now he's going to go back to that left lane. We'll see how
he struck on that
approach
shot,
goes.
but
Yep.
that shot just looked a little on the weak side. He got away with it, which is fine. But I don't know if that's exactly what he wants to do and repeat. There's 25 loft down to about 12. He hits light, and you can see the ball go to the right. It's like it doesn't really drive through the pins.
He's almost in fallback mode there, right?
Yeah, that's
I mean,
kind of like the old
he's
U.S.
getting
Open
close,
shot.
Right? He's getting close, and it's flat across the middle here on this pattern.
Yeah, that one did not wash out.
Yeah, that one didn't decide to go right at all. That one went left.
We got a note from Barnes there. He said the right lane is definitely much tighter down lane. Which time means you just have a much smaller target, right? That's what that's.
Yeah, you have less margin of error. I mean, it's not going to come off the pattern as hard. Carry's going to be tougher when you do hit the pocket.
Well,
And
where's he going?
Holy cow, I thought that was in the gutter.
That was right all the way.
Whoa, that's a shocker. Closest thing he's ever come to just a whiff.
Yeah, that was rolling up right around 1, 2, 3 all the way down the lane. That ball could have fallen back.
He's been hitting 5, 6 all day. Where does this one hit at the arrows? 3.
It's out to 2-1 down lane. It's a good thing he had a ball with surface because that could have easily just plopped.
But on the plus side, it stayed there. It's it's a much easier spare. There's no washout, no bucket, no sleeper back there.
You think this is easier?
Well, I think easier than the alternatives.
It's easy to chop too, but he didn't, which is good.
249 for Quintero is his maximum score. 236 for Brad Angelo.
Brad looking for his second win on this tour, his first major of his career. Mario, this is the first chance of him to bowl for a title on the PBA50 tour.
It's amazing how bowlers can look great till the 5th frame. Then when the 5th hits, things change. Oh,
wow.
Messenger out to 9 pin.
Huge carry
Holy
on the 9.
Cow.
He jammed that one in there, didn't he?
Oh
That
my-
was a no
yeah.
doubter. Like, you know
Yeah.
what? That's enough messing around. Take this.
That pin come flying across there. I
That was
assume
more 8.
head pin in the air takes out the 9. Take that.
Hook, yes. Somebody in the audience was saying hook, hook, hook.
If you had Mario and Mika side by side, I think you would see their timing is quite similar.
Well, that one almost got to the arrows in the air.
So when in doubt, take out more of the lane, which it looks like he's really good at. Is it easy for you to loft the lane?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's called zero knee bend.
Yeah, but you still got to hang on to it.
That's his new trick. He doesn't. He just goes down with the whole thing.
Overhand.
Yeah.
That one's a little bit short.
God.
It's going to hold. It's going to hold.
It held.
Yeah.
It does.
It looked like he got a little quick right there at the end on that one.
Yeah,
it
it
kind of
held.
like jumped through it, but
Both
it
players
held.
getting firm on that left lane now.
Well, Quintero still with the advantage. Brad's margin for error is shrinking.
And that was like 27 at the arrows. That was inside farther, and that was like 13 down lane. That is like the old U.S. Open fallback.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Brad needs these next two to put a little pressure back on. Otherwise, it's kind of like handing him the title.
It's been quite a last month or so for Mario out here. Not even month, weeks.
Weak, yes.
Again.
Oh, solid night.
I'm going to need a minute, guys, after that. My goodness.
Well, don't look at the replay then.
Oh, too late.
Don't look, Craig.
Don't
Don't
look.
look, Craig. Don't
That
look.
was
No.
that was high. Bad juju.
Yeah, and what he's laughing at there is there was a young child, maybe a baby or a toddler, that just kind of broke out into a cry, and that's when he said, "That's how I feel."
Well, there's a pretty good chance that this trophy is going to be heading back to Mexico City here.
Yeah, I just looked up. In 2008, Mario bowled one event. He cashed for $1,000.
All right.
Don't know which event that was, but he averaged 203, earned $1,000. Well, they had to be on the kids' tour because
Yeah, 2008, yeah.
Puts Brad Max at 216. Mario's in the what, 230s. Pacing 219.
Nope, through
No
the
good.
face. No, through the face, it's starting to go away.
this is unfortunate for Brad Angelo. I think his shot, his strategy was good. It just didn't hold up long enough. It needed to hold up for 2 games, and it held up for about a game and 3 frames. Mario right now, I think, pretty much
He needs to remember to finish the game.
a
I
9
think.
spare
Yeah.
in the 9th takes care of everything. You're definitely going to have a translator out there.
You know, I don't know enough. I know words, but I don't know how to string them together. I'm a lousy conversationalist in Spanish. So, yeah,
Well.
I'll definitely have to have Francisco Paco Peralta join me as an interpreter.
Brad can still get 204. Mario needs to sneak in a mark here in one of these last 2 frames to
Yeah.
seal the deal.
But I'm also excited to meet a new champion.
And there you have it, folks.
So Brett Angelo, 5 shows, yet to get a dub.
Boy, he's kind of black-catted, poor guy. Not that he can't bowl. It's
Second
just
runner-up finish of the year, I believe.
not getting the breaks.
Nope, not this time. Bowled very well. Made every one of the championships, made every one of the match plays, and got on this show only to finish runner-up.
Well, we are going to have a brand new champion. We had champions win the first 3, but we have a new champion now.
And he
in
wins
Mario.
the biggest one of them all, the PBA50 World Championship for a super win for Mario Quintero, to say the least, defeating Brad Angelo here at Jack 60 in Jackson, Michigan. We'll be meeting Mario after Brad bowls out his 10th frame.
Big congratulations to Mario and his wife watching back in Mexico City as well.
Oh, terrific.
Enjoy and celebrate when you get the chance. Well, the downside, Dave, is you're not going to get an Angelo selfie this week, but you're going to get a chance to talk to a new first-time champion here in Mario.
Yeah, Brad didn't know this, but I was planning on having a selfie with him at the winners. Yeah, I didn't tell him, and I would have taken my phone down there. I'm sure he doesn't have his on him. But next time, Brad.
Mario with the final strike, 228.
Well, and interesting enough, Craig and Tom, it came down. The last match was two of the three guys who made every pattern match play, Brad Angelo and Mario Quintero, the other being Mika. All of them were on the show today.
Right.
And this time Mario comes out on top.
It's always nice. I'm always, like I said the other night, kind of the underdog. I like to see new winners, and we have one.
I tell you what, based on what we've seen, I don't think we're finished with him. Depending on what his schedule is, he's now eligible for the Tournament of Champions next month if he wants to. If he can make it, he's invited.
Yep.
So
very nice.